Hello, Year 4. So today we're going to continue on learning on decimals, and we are going to look at how we place hundredths into our place value grid above us. This is useful because when we talk about place value and when we talk about hundredths, quite often we see them in terms of fractions or in terms of written words in word problems. So we're going to look at where we can place those on our place value grid and how useful that is. And then we'll also look at common misconceptions that people may have around how this works and common errors people make. And then we'll try some out and see how we do. At the end, I'll leave you with some questions. So first off, let's talk about what exactly a hundredth is. A hundredth is one split into 100 pieces. So if you think about our fractions being 1 over 100, that's what a hundredth is. It's also interesting to think about what hundredths are in terms of tenths. Now we can see on our place value grid, here's our tenths column and here's our hundreds column. What relationship between them are there? And what this means is every 10 100ths we have 1 tenth. And that's really important to remember, especially when we're trying to place hundredths into our grid, because we can have 57 100ths and we can't place 57. We know this as a rule, because we can never have a two-digit number into one column. We couldn't place 57 all into the hundredth column. So how do we do it? How do we work it out? Okay, so here's our first question that you can have a go at, see how well you do, and then we'll talk through the important parts as you go through it. And I'll show you some of the common errors that people make as we answer this. And this should hopefully get you to understand exactly what we need to do when we're placing these hundredths into the correct column and on our place value grid. So the first question says, how do you use a place value chart to show 39 hundredths? And how would you use the place value chart to show the fraction 6 over 100? Have a go, pause the video now, and come back to us in a minute. Okay, so let's have a look at this first question. The first question says, how do you use the place value chart to show 39 100ths? So I've set out my place value chart here, and we would have a look at this. Now, in theory, it says 39 hundredths. So I look in my hundredths column and I can place the number 39 in here. Now, if we were to follow this to the extreme, we need obviously our decimal point. We have no ones and we have no tenths. So our answer could look like this. Now, hopefully you haven't done that. Hopefully you haven't. Because what do we know about placing digits into a column? Our rule is that we can never have two digits in the same column. Now we know from all the work we've done so far is any digit we have over 10 actually moves into the next column over. So that 3 from the 39 actually moves into the 10th, because 30 100ths is 3 tenths. So as it moves over, we leave the 9 where it is, put the decimal point in, and put our 0 in. So our actual answer is 0.39. And it's interesting that we have to say it like that as well, because if we don't say it like that and we said 0.39, it might give people the wrong idea and the wrong view of what they want. Having a look at the second question, we can still use the same grid we've got before, and we're trying to place 6 100ths onto our place value grid. Now, this actually is easier than before because it only deals with the hundredths column. But the reason for that is that we look at our fraction, it says 6 over 100. Now 100 means we're looking at hundredths, which means we are looking in our hundredths column. And then how many have we got? It says we've got 6. If I put a 6 in here, hopefully that's all right. If I've got 6 here, is there any that I need to move over into the hundredths column? No, because it doesn't go over 10. We don't have 2 digits here. So how many tenths do I have? I have none. I need to make sure I leave my decimal point exactly where it is. So I put my decimal point in. And how many ones do I have? 0. So the correct answer for number 2 would be 0.06. Something to pay attention to when you're doing this is that common misconception. The common misconception of trying to put all of the values into one. Or another error that people make is they go beyond this and they put the 3 of the 30 in the hundreds column, and the 9 then they put in the next column in this direction. Now there's a problem with that, because then you're devaluing this 9. You're making that 9 into 1,000, which is a lot smaller. I would need 10 of those to make hundreds. So the thing to remember is, if you place it into the right column, you can always then move any of the numbers that you've got above 10 to the next column over, using the same idea as you do for addition and subtraction and multiplication. I hope that helps you with that particular misconception. Okay, so on to the next task. As you can see on my screen, we've got the next one, to show these decimals using a place value chart. 13 100ths, 50 hundredths, 1 tenth, and 34 100ths. What I'd like you to do now, pause, I'll show you the full screen of it, have a go and see what you can do, and then we'll come to it. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go now, and we can have a go through these ones and check to see whether we're right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the common mistake, and then I'm going to correct myself in order to make sure it makes sense to everyone. So the first thing I'm going to do, it says 13 100ths. So let's place 13 in hundreds. Now hopefully you already screamed at me that I've made a massive error here, because we know we can't have 2 digits here. So what I'm going to do is take any that are over 10, and because they are 10, I can move them into the tens column. Leave the 3 where it is. Make sure I put my decimal point in, finish it off, and I've got my answer of 0.13. Nice and easy. The next one, it says 50 hundredths. Now I can do this again. So into my hundredths column, I'm going to put 50. Now I'm doing this just so you can see it and you can understand it. But what do we know? We know that any 10 hundredths we have, every 10 hundredths, I'm going to move that into my tenths column. So that becomes 5 tenths. And this 0 is left here. There's my 50 100ths. Put the decimal point in, put my 0 in, and we have the right answer. The next one down, hopefully this is nice and straightforward, because this is 1/10. So are we looking at hundredths now, or are we looking at tenths? Luckily, 1/10, we can say it. Tenth, we know we're looking in this column. It says we have one of them. Let's place 1 there. And we have our answer. On to our last one. Looking at the answer here, we are looking at hundredths. It says 34 hundredths, so we're looking in the hundredths column. Again, just so I don't cause any errors, I'm going to put 34 into the column. Hopefully some of you by now are coming up with a shortcut. You know, you don't have to place the number into here. You straight away can see that whatever the unit of the hundredths is stays in the hundredths column. Whatever your tenths of the hundredths are, goes in your tenths column. But let's take that 3, because that is 30 hundredths, which is the same as 3 tenths. There's my 3 tenths. Leave my 4 in my hundredths column. Put my decimal point in. Put the 0. And there's my answer. Time to try out a little learning. Here's 3 questions. Do your best. Just see what you can do. Have a go. Post your answers onto Tapestry or social media, and we'll see you next time.